Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third and final debate for the UJS presidential election 2024 to 2025. Today, we will be talking about UJS programming, cross-communalism, and wider developments. Today, we are joined by Sammy Burkhoff, Samantha Cass, and Josh Cohen. Just a quick reminder for everyone that you still have time to vote. You should, if you're already signed up to UJS, you should have been getting emails from us every day. And please check your spam if you can't see these in your inbox. If you can't see them anywhere, please do get in touch with a member of the sabbatical team. First, we are going to start with some opening statements. So if we go in alphabetical order, Sammy, if you'd like to go first.
Josh has just left. I don't know if you know.
Josh has just left?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with carry on with opening statements. So Sammy, if you'd like to go first.
From growing up in an Orthodox school to going on Noah Masorti summer camps, tribe trips, and now leading and being involved in RSY, there is not another candidate who fully understands and celebrates cross-communalism more than me. Maybe I sound like I just couldn't make up my mind, but it's more than that. I am the candidate who celebrates and appreciates learning and loving all branches of Judaism. And if elected, I will make sure UJS reflects these values that are so important to me. I want to create a second Shabbaton weekend separate from convention to come together to unite and celebrate all of our Jewish roots. Having time to learn and appreciate each other's cultures and heritage is so important, and students deserve a space to do this without being required to engage with the political aspect of UJS conference. Alongside this, I want to create Term New Tikkun Olam Days, UK and Ireland-wide, to celebrate diversity and interfaith to give back to our community, linking with other societies to branch out and learn from each other's faiths. In Durham, I have already been meeting with the President of Islamic Society to start to discuss how to integrate both societies and work together more. I want to expand UJ6 internationally with unions around the world so that when Jewish students come to the UK and Ireland for uni, they already know that UJS is here for them. This in turn will mean that when students from the UK and Ireland go on year abroad, there's already a connection and Jewish community ready for them. I will create a female empowerment network in order to better advocate for all Jewish students. In the past year, female students who want to play sport have been limited to only playing netball. I will push for sports to be expanded and more inclusive, encouraging more women's football teams and adding on all sports. It's 2023. Surely we now know that it's not just men that can play football and women that play netball. Everyone should be welcome within UJS, no matter your religious background, sexuality, political views. This should not be a barrier to entry. There is no other candidate with my breadth of experience across the Jewish spectrum and that wants to support and enrich our cross-communalism and expand UJS programming to the extent to which I do, which is why I encourage you to follow my campaign.
That's a few minutes. Thank you. Samantha?
Hi, I'm Samantha, a final year history student at the University of Leeds, and I'm standing to be your next UJS President. From previously being Uni of Chair at my JSOC to currently being on the UJS National Council, a student ambassador for the History Department, a recently elected NUS delegate, and the Social Secretary for the Open Theatre Society at my university, I have and will continue to advocate for Jewish students publicly. But more than that, I'm committed to making UJS a truly cross-communal space where every student feels welcome and safe within JSOCs. Cross-communalism is the foundation of why UJS exists. Jewish students are at their strongest when every Jewish student is cared for, feels welcome, and has a seat at the table. This is incredibly important to me. Listening to your experiences across denominations, backgrounds, geographies, and identities has inspired my deep commitment to pluralism. This runs through my manifesto and will shape my year as UJS President. Every voice matters when it comes to enhancing student opportunity, optimizing UJS operations, and ensuring proactive advocacy. Each region, each campus, and each and every Jewish student faces unique sets of challenges when they enter University of Life. In times like these, Jewish students need a president who cares about each and every person, someone committed to enriching their student experience through actions, not just words. I will bring positive changes to UJS, and I will place you back at the heart of it all. Uniting students together means encouraging an inclusive, diverse, and accessible space for all Jewish students to collaborate and be able to enjoy the positives of their Jewish identity. Cass can and will do just that.
Thank you, Samantha. And Josh?
Hi, I'm Josh Cohen, and I'm running to be your next UJS President. In the first hustings, you heard my plans for JSOCs and representation. Last week, you heard my extensive experience and plans for campaigning, fighting anti-Semitism, and for Israel engagement. You don't need to hear a CV. Today, I want to share my concrete plans when it comes to cross-communalism. One of the best things about university is that it broadens your horizons. When you go to a lecture and chat to the person next to you, you might be the first Jew they've met before. Chances are there'll be something new to you as well. This should apply to UJS too, in fact, possibly even more so. If university isn't the time to celebrate our Jewish diversity and meet with Jewish students from every background, when it is. But cross-communalism is easy when it comes to socials. I'm not just sort of paying lip service to values I think look good on Instagram. I have concrete plans for exciting, fresh programming. I want to push the boat out. With me as president, UJS will run ambitious cross-communal programming, robustly cross-communal educational events, leadership events, tackling interesting Jewish issues in new ways. Orthodox and Reform Jews drinking UJS subsidized beer together is the bare minimum for cross-communalism. And we can do so much more for Sephardi and Mizrahi heritage than just cooking slightly spicy food at a Friday night dinner. We can do so much better. UJS is an academic powerhouse. We have access to an amazing network of speakers on a range of topics. And under my leadership, UJS would see a year of renewed, ambitious cross-communal programming that celebrates everything there is to celebrate about Jewish diversity. We should be leading the way in the Jewish community, with Jewish students setting the example for the rest of the community. And under my leadership as UJS president, that will happen.
Thank you, Josh. So the first question is about the sabbatical team as a whole. So as you may already know, the sabbatical team can change year on year. If you were to shape your dream team, what roles would it include? Should we start with Sammy?
Yeah, so I have plans to restructure the SAB slightly, which includes having women in leadership and like female voices SAB to really like grasp this female empowerment network that I just keep talking about. So that's like one big change that I really want to make. Along with that, I want to reintroduce the Israel engagement sabbatical officer, which I talked about in the last one, and then kind of creating the other ones, but working with them to make sure that like this female empowerment one can really strive and be able to create this network that I'm quite keen on making.
Thank you. Samantha?
Yes, so currently there's an incredible sabbatical team who are doing incredible things. One thing that I'd like to add or change around is adding a diversity and inclusivity sabbatical officer, somebody who will encourage and ensure that all JSOCs facilitate a space where every student has access to the same resources. And I think that that's an incredible SAB choice, a new sabbatical role. Again, I'd also consider re-adding the Israel engagement officer, because I think, again, especially at times like this, it's really important to have a dedicated person who will be able to help and ensure that Israel engagement and spreading awareness, re-education continues in a non-harmful manner. I'd also utilize the Shlichot more, make sure that they're wide known to all JSOCs and that everybody is aware of their existence and the incredible work that they do. So those are just a couple of the changes that I would implement with the SAB team.
Thank you, Samantha. Josh?
Yeah, this is something I've spoken about to some extent already, and a lot of my manifesto promises kind of cover this. So one thing that I mentioned in the manifesto is I will have a sports SAB. It's something that's grown amazingly over the last year. I think it's something that needs the attention and the passion that someone who's been part of it and will then be employed by UJS can give it. I would aim to, in line with other organizations and in line with how we run the National Council, have a sabbatical team that is at least 50% women plus. Like the other said, an Israel engagement SAB whose main task would be running the Israel Engagement Fellowship, but also sort of enabling engagement when that's needed on campus with JSOCs. And I would also formalize the small JSOC SAB, as I mentioned in my manifesto. And finally, I'd look specifically for someone with experience interacting with, while I've had a fair share of experience myself, someone specifically with experience interacting with international sort of EUJS, WUJS, etc. And even better if they can be an international student as well, who understands the needs of that community.
Thank you, Josh. The next question, as we've mentioned already, cross-communalism is a core value of UJS. What does cross-communalism mean to you? Josh, do you want to go first, this one?
Yeah. Like I mentioned in my opening speech, I don't believe that sort of religious pluralism or cross-communalism, sorry, is a universal value. You know, all three of us went to youth groups that were not necessarily cross-communal. We all go to shuls that are not necessarily cross-communal. However, I think the one time and the one space where it is a really important value is university. It is UJS. The same way you sit next to someone in a lecture and you might be the first Jew that they've met. They might be the first person from a particular village in the middle of Norfolk somewhere that you've met. University is a time for broadening our boundaries, learning more about like the amazing diversity that we have. And so I think that should apply, if anything, more to the Jewish community than anywhere else.
Thank you, Josh. Samantha?
So cross-communalism to me is like having a family of everybody who has different opinions, who has different identities, all coming together and being connected by their love for Judaism. And that can manifest in so many different ways. As Josh said, it doesn't just mean pluralism in the sense of your denomination and coming together and being a part of having access to accessible prayer spaces. It can also be through education, again, meeting with people that you never thought that you would have ever met with due to where you come from, and learning and in sparking dialogue rather than division with one another. It's about putting on events that, you know, everyone comes together and just has fun. And I think that's the spirit of UJS, is putting Jewish students back at the heart of everything and making sure that every single voice is heard, regardless of identity, regardless of denomination, regardless of your geographical location, where you grew up, what synagogue you went to, and just kind of fostering that communal culture where we all get to be together and share our love for each other, with each other.
Thank you. And Sammy?
Yeah, so for me, it's about understanding and celebrating everyone's backgrounds, everyone's heritage. Like I said in my opening speech, I grew up Orthodox. I then went on Noam, which is the Mizorti youth movement. I then did tribe trips, and then now I do RSY. So I've really like grown up in a like cross-communal environment where I've just learned to celebrate and appreciate learning and loving all branches of Judaism and everyone's background. I also just think that at the end of the day, university is a time to get to know everyone. And then when you go out into the real world, it's not just the same person next to you. You're with people from all different backgrounds, all different heritage. So celebrating it early on and understanding the importance of meeting new people, experiencing new things from university is something so important, which if like I was to be elected, I would make sure these values were reflected, just because they mean so much to me and they've meant so much to me as I've grown up.
Thank you, Sammy. The next question, again, following from this one, how do you intend to ensure that UJS will deliver inclusive cross-communal programming, as you guys all just mentioned? Samantha, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so throughout my manifesto, I've mentioned a couple of different initiatives and startups that I really feel will help create an inclusive environment with UJS. But more than that, it will encourage collaboration and communication between these individuals and UJS itself. One thing that I want to start up is something called a UJS National Collective, with specific identity networks, providing forums, sharing experiences, and building a stronger sense of belonging between each other, but then bringing all that incredible understanding and connection back to UJS so we can foster a way to inspire and platform these students to a wider group of people, to encourage students to get together and learn, again, engage in dialogue rather than division. This would include students from international backgrounds, Jews of color, LGBTQ+ students, Mizrahi and Sephardi Jews, women, non-binary students, everybody having the opportunity to be able to platform and raise their voice and speak out against the issues that matter to them, the issues that make them feel as though they haven't been heard within UJS and JSOC, and providing a space where we can encourage events to be created that would platform these students. Secondly, another thing I want to do is facilitate more in-person initiatives that celebrate our incredible Jewish culture and heritage. This is about platforming as someone who loves theatre, this is about platforming Jewish students' involvement in theatre. As Josh mentioned, student sport, food, literature, cinema, music, languages, and advertising these resources. Currently, UJS has a section about Jewish engagement, and there's hardly anything written about the incredible cultural activities that Jewish students do externally. And we should be platforming and advertising what students have been doing to make the space more inclusive.
Thank you, Samantha. Sammy?
Yeah, so one core part of my manifesto is about creating a second Shabbaton weekend separate from convention, where we can get together as Jewish students and just celebrate our Jewish roots and learn from each other. Like, to learn and appreciate our cultures and heritage is just really important to me. And I strongly believe that Jewish students deserve a space to do this without being required to engage within political aspects. I also think like a whole part of my manifesto is about how we can work together to like celebrate core Jewish values and celebrate ourselves. So like through my Term New Tikkun alum days, to celebrate diversity and interfaith, through the Kahila magazine I want to create, which will showcase artwork and showcase Jewish students' work in a form that's not like just writing, like just celebrating all of our cultures, all of our heritage, and coming together as Jewish students is so important to me. And it's like a whole huge part of my manifesto.
Thanks, Sammy. And Josh?
One thing that I want to make quite clear about my view on cross-communalism is it is not about splitting people into groups and then providing for those groups. That's part of my manifesto. Separate. It's about representation. That's about part of my advisory groups. So I do that where I've got advisory groups for underrepresented students, whether it's LGBTQ+, women plus, disabled students. Cross-communalism is about talking to and educating and making space for everyone. So I think, first of all, that comes from the will has to be there for the leader. It's not something you can necessarily kind of program into motions or constitution amendments. But for example, a perfect example is a few years ago, UJS put out a Sukkot resource where, I know these organizations are slightly different now, but I think they had Rabbi Laura Jana Klauser from Reform Judaism write one article, Rabbi Harvey Belofsky of the sort of Orthodox chaplaincy put out one, Rabbi Danny Rich of Liberal Judaism put out something. This is an amazing example of cross-communalism, because it's not that each of these people are provided to each of these groups, but that everyone can learn something from these other groups and we can all learn something together. So I will commit to platforming a wide range of speakers from a wide range of sort of every possible spectrum. And this is something I do already. I've worked hard on it in Nottingham, and I've actually it'll be too late to vote for me then, but at convention, I'm going to do a cheeky plug, come along to a session I'm running entitled an experimenting cross-communal learning, which is where I'm trying to break down these barriers and bring every Jewish student from whatever background together to learn some of our key universal Jewish values together through a range of sources.
Thank you, Josh. This year, we've had the new role involving access to work and supporting apprentices. How are you planning on ensuring that apprentices and those on placement years are supported in the same way that university students are? Josh, if you're happy to go first.
So first of all, I would commit to massively expanding this. I think it's something that's been amazing this year, and it's kind of been ramping up. And you know, if I was made a very amazing position where the foundation had been put in and it's something we can ramp up now, I'd combine this with my advisory groups for underrepresented students. So for example, I've mentioned that I'd want a specific women's plus stream. I'd want a specific LGBTQ plus stream, because a lot of the time, the challenges that students face on campus and the challenges that students face within JSOCs, where, you know, these groups are made for like listening to them and for them to network themselves, these carry on through the workplace. And so what better sort of two initiatives to combine than those two? That would be my main policy in reference to that.
Thanks, Josh. Samantha?
Yeah, so one thing that I've done is I've seconded on a motion regarding placement students and apprenticeship students to make sure that they are still getting the same engagement and cultural activity that a lot of Jews within JSOCs are getting. So this is making sure that, you know, they're going to be working during specific hours. You know, they don't have as much time necessarily outside of their working schedule to be able to come together with other students, except maybe in the evenings. So it's about creating a space where these students have access to similar resources to be able to engage the same way that students on campus get to engage with. One thing that's really important is ensuring that they are partnered with their local JSOCs, depending on the area that they are living in. They might be traveling from a different area, so they might be originally from London and moving to Manchester, or moving to Durham even, and wanting to find a space where they can fit in. So connecting them to the JSOCs nearby them, but also to the local Jewish community, so that they can have Friday night dinner with a bunch of other people similar ages to them. So I think small things like this, and really listening to what apprenticeship students and placement year students really want from UJS is something that's incredibly important, and making sure that their voices are heard, and ensuring that on an individual need, that it's fostered and helped through UJS and through partnerships.
Thank you, Samantha. Sammy?
Yeah, so I think a lot of my manifesto kind of links to people like students on placement years and apprenticeships. So through having my UJ6 expansion on having it before, so that when students were going in sixth forms and asking, we've got a whole section for apprenticeships. There's already that like thought that they know that UJS will still support them even if they're doing an apprenticeship. Along with that, having the female empowerment network is giving like Jewish students connections to these like strong, amazing women in our community, and showcasing that. Along with that, the Kahila magazine, having artwork and work from apprenticeships and placement years displayed to really celebrate and enhance that. I also think like something that the others have said, and I really want to push on and expand on, that connecting them to local JSOCs and connecting them with students. We've done it in Durham with alumni students and students who aren't currently people who aren't currently students, where they can still come to JSOC Friday night dinner. They're still welcome in our community, because JSOC should be an open space, like primarily, where like it shouldn't be like determined whether you're a student or not, or whether you're still studying or not, whether you can come. If someone needs a Jewish space and needs a Jewish community, we should be able to help give them that and help foster that environment and that connection for them.
Thank you, Sammy. Similarly, for the last 2 years, sixth form programming has also been part of one of the roles on the sabbatical team. What are your plans for sixth form programming and supporting Jewish students in non-Jewish schools? Sammy, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so I've put a motion into convention about this, where I really want to expand on UJ6, so having a freshers fair type event for year 12 students, where we're going in and we're showing them, we're showcasing that there's not just the juniors that have big JSOCs, there's also Durham JSOC that has a really incredible community. So really expanding on that and pushing that to make sure students know before, like sixth form students know before what UJS is and what we're about and what JSOCs there are to be offered. I also want to expand this internationally, as I said in my opening speech, where we have like connections with unions around the world, so that students coming internationally know about it from when they're in school. They know that UJS is here for them when they come to the UK, so it's not a barrier that they're thinking, oh, I shouldn't go to the UK because I don't know if there's a big Jewish community. They know we're here, and they know that we're here for them. So yeah, I think it's just about really pushing and like showcasing what UJS is. I've had it at unis recently where I've gone and visited, and people have said to me and their students going, what even is UJS? And it's like, how can we make sure they know from the get-go? And it's like being really proactive so that students are just so aware of what UJS is and what we're here for.
Thank you, Sammy. Josh?
Yeah, so I have kind of 3 key policies here. Like Sammy mentioned, I think awareness is a very big thing. If students, students know support. So I've mentioned my membership package. I'd make sure that we reach out for that early on, like, part of UJ6. It's this amazing platform that we can use for this. Second of all, my commitment to cross-communal and robust, ambitious programming. I want to sort of start that all the way down at UJS. I went to a non-Jewish school. Luckily, it had a pretty strong JSOC, which I was somewhat involved in. But also, actually, I found a lot of the time the programming was a little bit samey. It was a little bit, cross-communalism, I think, wasn't particularly a word that I would have used in association with it. If UJS can be there just to provide a kind of alternative and to provide not to like overall a JSOC, but just to provide provide variety and provide support for students who, sixth form students shouldn't have to be organizing these things themselves, and they shouldn't have to be relying on sort of the same organization every week. I think that would help amazingly. Sorry, I've completely forgot my third thing. I mentioned membership services, UJS. Oh yes, my third thing, I want to set up mentoring. We have UJ6 and we have UJS. There's an amazing opportunity for a crossover. If we know people have offers, if we know students in sixth form who are aiming for certain places in university, why aren't we connecting them up with Jewish students at those universities, or Jewish students studying the same subjects they want to be going into? I think that's an amazing opportunity we can use.
Thanks, Josh. And Samantha?
So similarly to Sammy, when I was going to different universities and talking to different students, they were like, what's UJS? Like, I know what JSOC is, but I don't know what UJS is or what they do. And I think UJ6 is a wonderful program because it's all about listening to the future generation of Jewish students on campus, the future generation of apprentices who are gonna, start learning, and they don't know where to begin and they don't know what UJS is. So I think it's an incredible thing. I was really lucky that I got to visit Northallerton High School a couple of weeks ago to give a talk with them, and just listening to some of their struggles attending a school that isn't Jewish but has quite a small and medium-sized kind of Jewish student group, and hearing the concerns that they're currently facing at this time, and finding ways about how they can stay educated with UJS, how they can get further involved in Jewish life, both in their schools and externally, was really incredible. And I think continuing to do that is really important. I also think having kind of, I remember like at my secondary school, we had like career fairs and we had uni fairs where different universities came to our school to kind of showcase what they offered. I think having UJS platformed at one of these stalls could again foster an incredible environment and space where Jewish students, both at non-Jewish schools and Jewish schools, can learn about what UJS is and what we offer as a union for so many students.
Thank you, Samantha. When thinking about wider developments within UJS, what would you like to achieve in your time there that has a lasting impact on UJS as an organisation? Sammy, are you happy to go first?
Yeah. So I think I've mentioned it now in every single hosting at least about 5 times, and it's all I basically talk about is this female empowerment network. I just think we're missing out on celebrating so many strong female voices at the moment. Like the past 20 years, there's been 6 female UJS presidents, and in the past 2 years, there's been no female candidates. And it's about why are Jewish women not feeling welcome in these spaces, and how can we change that? And this network that I want to create of reaching out and having these like strong female voice in our community, like showcased for students, I think is so important. And honestly, it just makes me so happy every time I talk about it, that it's just, I'm so keen for it, and I just love it so much. Yeah.
Samantha?
So for me, in terms of wider programming, it's all about promoting and advertising what makes us Jewish and celebrating the cultural activities that Jewish students want to do. Creating opportunities, activities, platforming these voices, showcasing, like I said earlier, incredible theatre workshops, art shows, learning different languages, to encourage collaboration with international students, making student spaces more accessible for students, encouraging people to kind of celebrate their love for food, their love for sports. I think just creating a celebration of Jewish life where every student can come together. We've seen it happen with student sport, it's continuing to grow, and just continuing to do that will make UJS stronger and more inclusive.
Thanks, Samantha. And Josh?
So the question is kind of what I want to leave behind me. The answer is everything in my manifesto, every policy that I've brought in, I've built to last. I've been involved in the organization to varying levels for the last 3 years. I've spoken to past students, I've spoken to past SABs, I've spoken to past UJS presidents. My manifesto, I've avoided buzzwords as much as possible. I've kept it to specific policies and specific structures, whether it's my Israel Engagement Fellowship, which hopefully will not only carry on after I've finished my year, but also will create leaders that will carry on after, even once they leave university. My account where I hope the president having far closer ties and then systems much long, and hope you have a organization.
Thank you, Josh. Before we move on to closing statements, my final question for all of you is, why should people be voting in the UJS election? Josh, would you like to go first?
Yeah. Fundamentally, UJS is the organization that represents every student in the country. Now than ever, the work that UJS has been doing, it's up to you to decide who you want to represent you and who you fighting for you. Yeah.
Thanks, Josh. And Samantha?
With the UJS elections, it's your opportunity to be listened to and be heard and to make your voice count. Things that you want change within UJS, things that you like about UJS, the ability to just be a part of a Jewish society and get to experience life with so many other people. This is your chance to say what you want and to get your message across by picking someone who you believe has the same values that you have. And that's why it's really important to register to vote in the next few days. And Sammy?
Yeah, it's kind of adding on to what the other two have said, that this is your chance to have a say. It's not like any other kind of role. Like, all three of us are coming to represent your voices. So it's down to you which one of us you pick. And I think it's just really important you have a voice, you have a chance to have your say, use it, and choose the one of us that you think will help represent your views and values the best and help support you the best. It's also a great chance that we're coming around universities, we have our Instagram pages, message us, ask us and tell us what you want to see change, because this is your chance to have that say. So definitely register to vote, have your say, use your vote.
And now we will end on closing statements. So we'll go in alphabetical order. Sammy, if you'd like to start.
Everyone should be welcome within UJS, no matter your religious background, sexuality, political views. This should not be a barrier to entry. From growing up in an Orthodox shul to going on Noam Mazorti summer camps, tribe trips, and now leading and being involved in RSY, there is not another candidate who fully understands and celebrates cross-communalism more than me. And if elected, I will make sure UJS reflects these values that are so important to me. From my expansion of UJ6, growing student sport, my second Shabbaton weekend, I know that I can make the changes real. I went to a non-Jewish school with very few Jewish students and am now at Durham with a small Jewish community. So I've always had to fight for my Jewish voice to be heard. There's not another candidate with the breadth of experience across the Jewish spectrum that wants to support and enrich our cross-communalism and expand UJS programming to the extent that I do, which is why I encourage you to follow my campaign and join me to stand strong with Sammy and vote for me to be your next UJS president.
Samantha?
Jewish students should be able to exist in a space free of internal discrimination, be able to celebrate their passions and communicate with others about things that they love most. From the age of 7, when I was interviewed by CNN about the importance of a Jewish American girl doll, to right now as I stand to be your next UJS president, I've always expressed my love for my identity and have educated individuals on the values I bring as a Jewish woman. By enhancing student opportunity, optimizing UJS operations, and ensuring proactive advocacy, I will make UJS a place where every voice is listened to and acknowledged, and I will place you back at the heart of it all. I firmly believe in the transformative power of a strong, supportive community that can come together to create an environment where every voice is heard, every identity is respected, and every challenge is met with collective strength and resilience. Together, we can build a UJS that reflects the rich tapestry of our Jewish identity and celebrate it. CAS can and will do just that.
Josh?
From organizations like Limit or GLGB, I've brought up in and come to value spaces that aim to cater to Jews from every background, not as separate groups, but as one body together, something more important now than ever, with productive coexistence and conversations. I live in one of the best cities in the world for the subjects I study. I very easily could have stayed at home for uni. I could have studied in London, lived with my parents, and surrounded myself with people whose Judaism looks exactly like mine. But I chose to go out of my comfort zone, and that has made my Jewish identity stronger. You've heard my passion for cross-communalism within UJS and JSOCs, and you've heard my concrete plans. But I'm going to close once again with a plug. While it will be far too late for me, this is something I'm doing already. I'm running my session at Convention, an experiment in cross-communal learning. Come and see exactly what I'd like to see UJS look like in the next year and for far longer after that.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you to all three of you for participating today. Just a final reminder for anyone watching, please check your emails. It's really important to vote. If you have any issues with this, please get in touch with a member of the sabbatical team. And thank you for watching.